Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, on Instagram at Movies TV Mad 555, and on TikTok at Movies TV Mad XXX. Welcome to Monday's edition of the Movies TV Mad Daily. Take a listen to this. This is about the Batman. This is very interesting. We're talking about the Batman yet again because there's a lot of hype since those test screenings. But take a listen to this information on the movie.
I know someone who's seen the Batman, and here's everything they told me. The Batman is a horror movie. Very graphic, very dark, very scary. Paul Dano is f***ing crazy, so f***ing scary. I loved every second. I have a million things to say about Catwoman. She's my favorite. Holy shit. Definitely my favorite Catwoman. Robert Pattinson's Batman voice, his voice was perfect in my opinion. Vengeance. The Batmobile. Holy f***. That f***ing slayed. There's a scene at the end that literally had everyone screaming. Everyone gasped. Like it was a big no way for everyone. I don't give a fuck about Batman or DC, and even I clenched onto a knee and was shook. It's the biggest mic drop. And then I asked if the movie sets up for any sequels, without spoilers of course, because we here respect Matt Reeves, we here respect the studio, the cast and crew, and of course I'm trying to see the damn movie too. I'm not trying to hear any spoilers. Here's what this person said. Yes, Def sequel. That's the moment. I generally felt like they're gonna start a whole collection of Rob Pattinson Batman movies and circle through different villains maybe? Let's freaking go, baby! Honestly, I am so hyped for this movie. I'm ready. I'm ready for the Batman. Please, inject this in my veins. Let's get it.
Well. Now, as you know, yesterday I spoke to you about what my source and my friend told me about her experiences of watching the test screening. She didn't tell me anything like this. Wow, she was much more reserved. This is very, very interesting. So what do we think this mic drop actually is at the end? No way, this person said to this person. Wow, what could it be? Now, it's always been my theory that Joaquin Phoenix, the Joker, could appear in this movie, could be part of this universe, could be the same Joker from this universe, that Todd Phillips, the Joker, was actually part of the Matt Reeves Earth 2. So that's my mic drop. But it sounds like, because a mic drop, right, to explain to you what a mic drop actually is, and this guy says no freaking way, right? This means it's utterly shocking. It must mean we're going to see someone from another iteration of DC. That's all I can think. And this really does confirm my theory, as far as I'm concerned, that the Batman is the launch pad for the new era of DC live action. Listen, if I wasn't excited before, which I fucking well was of course, I'm really excited now. I'd love to know from you lot in the comments down below what you think this mic drop could be. My theory is Joaquin Phoenix is the Joker. Jesus Christ, it could be Barry Allen. It could be Ezra Miller's Barry Allen. It could be absolutely everything. Oh, right? They're setting up, right, a Joker basically having all the rest of the Rogues Gallery on his side and getting ready to create kind of a criminal organized crime syndicate against the Batman and Gotham City. I believe, right, we are going to get a reveal of the Joker in this film. I was saying Ra's al Ghul. We don't know. Ra's al Ghul could appear in this film as well. That's very interesting. But something else that he didn't put in this video, actually, there's another thing he wrote on Twitter, and I'm going to read it out to you. Very interesting. How the hell could I forget about this? Take a listen to this. Now, this is Blu-ray Angel. He's the one who was speaking in that video. Go follow him on TikTok, everywhere. When he does his videos, every time he speaks about geek, the guy has an orgasm. I love him. But listen to this. Rob's Batman narrates the whole movie. Now, this is very, very interesting. So if he's narrating the movie, now, narration is interesting because normally narration means that the character's already been here and done this. Could we have a time jump at the end of this movie? I don't know. To year 3 or year 4, who knows? So that's interesting. Fight scenes were great, lots of them. The Catwoman ones were my absolute fave. Zoe really pops off. I was pretty surprised. Alfred has significant scenes. There's blood teetering between thriller and horror. LFG, I'm hyped. Very interesting. So let's take this piece by piece. Rob's Batman narrates the whole movie. I find this the most exciting thing. I used to love Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer. I don't know if you remember him. He was played by the actor Stacy Keach. Those old detective shows where the detective would narrate the story. This is what Reeves is taking it from. This is a detective story, right? And in the show Dexter, Dexter narrates the show. And even though he's there in the present, he's not speaking from any timeline, he's there narrating his own thoughts. This is what Rob Pattinson's Bruce Wayne and the Batman could be doing. I like that. Fight scenes were great, no surprise. There are lots of them. The Catwoman ones were absolutely fave. Now, I was always interested by Zoe Kravitz's casting, and I was worried she was only cast because of her connection to Jason Momoa, but it sounds like everyone is loving her and I can't wait to see her. Apparently she's the best Selena Kyle. She's going to have to go away to outdo Michelle Pfeiffer in my book, but we will have to wait and see. Alfred has significant scenes. You do not cast the actor that they've casted. You know, this guy, and I forget his name because I'm shit with names, but, you know, he's brilliant. I mean, the performance as Gollum, it's got to be one of the most significant performances in Hollywood history. But yeah, this is going to be a very different Alfred, and I can't wait to see that. There's blood teetering between thriller and horror. So they're calling this film a horror thriller. A thriller horror. Now this is interesting, and let's not forget what they said about, you know, Paul Dano's Riddler. They're saying that this guy's fucking nuts. This is a killer. There's a lot of Dexter. It seems to be a lot of Dexter and a kind of private detective kind of, a private dick kind of story, where in Dexter basically he goes after killers. Now in the first season of Dexter, he goes after the ice truck killer, who ends up being his actual brother. So this is interesting. Could Paul Dano's Riddler actually be the Waynes' illegitimate child, who they rejected for some reason? That's very interesting. Maybe it's Martha Wayne's child from another relationship. I think there's something very interesting going on with Paul Dano's Riddler. As I said yesterday, this guy is not just a villain. This is a victim trying, maybe he's out for revenge, maybe he's trying to expose the corruption as well. I think that Matt Reeves has done something extremely special here. There's not one person talking about this test screening as anything else but positive. And I go back to this mic drop. This for me is very, very interesting. And it's with what people are saying about this mic drop, I think it's very, very significant. I do believe it involves the Joker. I think it could actually be the Joker in charge of this rogues gallery kind of criminal organisation. So I don't think the Joker will be front and centre in this film. No, he will be a reveal at the end of the movie, maybe even in a post-credit scene. But I think, and they say it leads to more movies, of course. We've always known that this potentially could be a trilogy. As I say, this is the beginning of the new era of DC live action, and I must say, I do respect the way WB have handled the whole situation. You know, the Snyder situation was such a mess, and ultimately, I don't actually think this is anybody's fault, either Warner Brothers or Zack Snyder's. Zack Snyder is an auteur, and he's going to do what he wants to do, and Warner Brothers never really made that decision. That was a Christopher Nolan decision, so the whole thing got really messy. But how they're digging themselves out of this mess is fascinating to me. And it's very interesting. So, let's have another discussion, because there's something else that's been said. Actually, let me try and find something else that I screenshotted from Twitter. Yeah, there's one more bit of interesting information here, as I alluded to before I pressed pause on today's video. Batman doesn't kill. There's a scene where they make it clear. So they're learning from the situation from Zack Snyder's Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, which is a very, very good film, and I love it. Look, you can call these, you know, die-hard Batman fans and die-hard DC graphic novel fans whatever you want, but it's obvious that fans don't like Batman killing. And I think Matt Reeves understands this, because Matt Reeves is a Batman fan. Let's not forget, he's already called this a passion project. And I think it's very important that they make this thing clear that he doesn't kill. It doesn't mean that, you know, Ben Affleck's Batman is wrong to kill when he's lost so much, when he's lost Dick Grayson, when he starts to hate Superman. You know, he's gone down a very dark path. It's a very different story. And who knows, maybe in 20 years' time, Robert Pattinson's Batman will do that. Who knows? But, you know, DC is in a situation now where controversial takes are simply not going to work. The Snyderverse was a controversial take. Whether you love it or you hate it or you want to restore the Snyderverse, we can't be doing controversial takes. We need to give people a kind of a magnifying glass into the comics a lot more and creating that world. And this is what he's doing. So yeah, Batman doesn't kill, and there's a scene where they make that clear. So that, I think, will be a very powerful scene. Apparently, he's about to kill someone, then he thinks better of it. So I think it's going to be a very, very powerful scene. Now, I know a lot of Snyder propaganda merchants, and I call them that because most of the Snyder community don't do this. They don't tear other directors and other DC works to raise up Snyder's. But there's a lot of people who do, who say, when they saw the first trailer for the Batman and we see Batman, you know, beat the shit out of that guy and say, I'm vengeance, Snyder fans thought, yeah, look what he's doing. Why did you say that about Batfleck? Because the difference is Pattinson doesn't kill. So he can brutally punch the shit out of people close to death, and Batman's liable to do that. That's the kind of character that he is. But he's not a killer. And there's something else that these people who have seen the test screening are saying, and that it's made very clear that Batman cares about people. He has compassion. He's very, very protective of people. This is why he's doing it. And I think this is going to be a Batman film like no other Batman film we've seen before. And the hype, this is just through a test screening. If this is the kind of hype we're getting, this is Spider-Man No Way Home hype. Everyone is excited for this movie. Batman fans, non-Batman fans. You know, the person Blu-ray Angel was talking about, who he quoted, actually said, I don't care about Batman and DC. And when she speaks, or whoever it is, speaks about the drop the mic moment, and you know, this person actually says, I was actually clenching my knee. So it's that shocking. So what happens? Is it something really horrible where someone gets murdered? Is it a Joker reveal? It could be absolutely anything. But I think we can be absolutely clear here. This is the launch of the new DC universe, and I've been talking about for months how it's going to be the Flash and how the Flash changes everything. I'm more convinced now that Flashpoint and resetting the universe takes us to this Earth 2, which I was talking about last week. I'm even more convinced now. Why would you set this on another Earth in the first place? Could it be that the two versions of Superman, of Black Superman we see, are from this Earth? It's all becoming very, very interesting and a unique situation. I've been asking ever since Zack Snyder's Justice League, can we have a DC universe that everybody loves, that everybody can join in? You see, there's two different versions of auteur directors. Snyder People use the excuse for Snyder that he's an auteur director, but very few auteur directors are like Zack Snyder. You see, Snyder triggers people, and he enjoys triggering people and basically making hot takes within his movies. One, let's put these characters in the real world. Now, I don't mind that as an experiment, but ultimately, die-hard fans don't like that. It's the escapism element that comics have always given people in the Second World War. People were reading, soldiers were reading these comics to escape the brutality in World War II around them. So it's very, very important reading Wonder Woman comics and Superman comics. Was Batman around? Yeah, Batman was around then. So these are very iconic, old, really old characters that have, stood the test of time. So let's go back to Snyder. Snyder's an auteur, but he's not typical of other auteurs. He's a triggerer, right? That's what he does. Ridley Scott, Martin Scorsese, David Cronenberg, they don't do that. An auteur is someone who guides their own story. There's two different directors in this world, actually. There's the director who just directs and doesn't guide the story in terms of writing it, and there's the auteur who guides both writes and directs. James Gunn is a very different type of auteur, but he doesn't trigger the audience, he entertains them. So Snyder's out on his own of being an auteur that triggers people. Most of them, even Quentin Tarantino, I know he triggers a few who don't like the violence in his films, but mostly people love him. And there isn't this opinion that he's a hack or this, and I'm not calling Zack Snyder a hack. What I'm saying is he triggers people, which makes his position as a director very, very difficult. The others don't do that. Just because you're an auteur director, it doesn't mean you're going to be automatically controversial. And Matt Reeves isn't going to be controversial in this film. But I suppose some of the controversy is that they're calling this a horror thriller. And that asks a deeper question as well, doesn't it? If it's a horror thriller, why isn't it R-rated? That's very interesting. So what kind of age range, what kind of age certificate is this movie going to be? Is this going to be done in a sense where you don't have to make it R-rated? You don't want to make the Batman R-rated because you could lose an audience from it. The Joker didn't. And by March, if audiences are just going to go to cinemas, which they're going to have to if they want to watch this film firsthand, because there is no day and date, there is no HBO Max. But I will explain to you about next year in this exclusive 45-day window. It shrunk the release window in movie theatres, 45 days. It used to be longer than that, a lot longer than that. What this means is they can have that 45 days and straight away send it over to HBO Max. So it's kind of the same as day and date, but the difference is you're not taking people away from cinemas by having it on streaming at the same time. But what some people could do is, do you know what? I'll wait till it's on HBO Max. But this is a film. There's some films people won't wait for. There's some films you have to go and watch. As a DC fan, I had to go and watch James Gunn's The Suicide Squad for a second time. A first time and a second time. I saw a test screening earlier, as I explained to you, but that wasn't the proper movie, was it? But, so I felt as a DC fan, I needed to go and watch it twice. And I did, and I think it's a great movie. But this is what we're doing now. We're shrinking the theatrical window. So if there's a film like this where people feel they have to go to cinemas, basically, this is why I've been suggesting that the Suicide Squad franchise should be on HBO Max. It's not something people will feel they have to go and see, but they're eating it up over on HBO Max. They're loving it, right? People love that movie. Even Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Is this a film that people are going to feel they have to see? That's interesting. Now, if Cavill's Superman is in it, then that justifies its cinematic release. But if he's not in it, maybe this could be a film better served on HBO Max, which is not going to happen. And I think people would go ballistically mad. But I just think if audiences are not that excited for something, the excitement for No Way Home, for the Batman, Black Adam will justify being on the big screen. Flashpoint will justify being on the big screen, and so will Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. You know, these films coming out in movie theatres for DC next year, let alone what's going to happen on HBO Max next year, is thoroughly exciting. This is capturing the imagination. I can't remember the last time DC fans and the broader audience were so excited for the release of 4 DC movies, and that's the promise. 4 or 5 DC movies in movie theatres every year, and another bunch of stuff on streaming as well. The plan by Ann Sarnoff and Walter Hamada is a very good one, a very ambitious one, and this first release of 2022, The Batman, has got people hyped, because this is what people want from a Batman movie. The narration from Robert Pattinson, that's a really, really great idea and a unique idea. As I say, it gives you that private detective, old-fashioned type of, you know, black and white movies and shows we used to see, or Dexter. So I like that element of it, because him narrating it means the story's coming from his perspective, his point of view. This is about Batman and Bruce Wayne, front and centre. So I'm very interested to see how people are going to judge this film. Now, this is over 3 hours, this film, in the test screenings. Now, we don't know what's going to happen here, but the thing is, they liked what they saw. Now, I don't know if there was music in it. I don't know if they'd, you know, edited it properly, and it actually feels like a movie. But people have given this 3-hour movie their seal of approval. These people have gone there. Now, what do I think about the leaks? I think sometimes Warner Brothers allow some people. I believe that Blu-ray Angel is someone that might be connected a little bit with Warner Brothers. I think Warner Brothers wanted certain things leaked about the film. It's utterly convenient, isn't it, that we've been told that Batman doesn't kill and there's a scene to justify this moment. That's interesting. It's like they want us to know that this Batman doesn't kill. I think there's certain elements they wanted to leak out. Leaks don't get out unless a studio wants them to. Make that absolutely clear. When you saw all those pictures of Shazam on the set in the first film, and people were saying, why don't they just give us a big reveal of the suit? This is unprofessional. They want it. It's good to see them while they're making the film. Audiences love that, and they gobble it up, right? So things don't leak. Take it from me, you know, someone who's involved in the industry, not Hollywood, but I've been in Hollywood, of course, but here in Cyprus. These networks and these studios will leak something out if it serves their narrative and if it serves their agenda. So what we're hearing is that this is a brutally violent movie. It's a thriller. It's a horror. Paul Dano's Riddler is off the fucking scale. So this is, listen, people decided to love this film before they even saw the trailer. Why? Because of the director. This is the difference when the audience actually respect the director. When the director isn't pulling away from the audience and purposely shaving upwards against the grain instead of with the grain, you have a problem. I'm not purposely trying to get at Zack Snyder, because the way he makes his films are utterly awesome, but you don't give yourself a chance. It means you only are able to show your movies to people who appreciate you as a director. So Zack Snyder will never really get that appreciation from other people. He got it a little bit with Zack Snyder's Justice League, mainly because they were comparing the film to Joss Whedon's movie. So, you know, Snyder needed Joss Whedon to hack his film to pieces for him to get any respect from the broader audience. This is the problem. But Matt Reeves is absolutely loved and adored. He's done good movies. People like how he does his movies. I think the Planet of the Apes 2 movies he did really sealed the deal, especially the second film. So people fell in love with this film without seeing anything. And even when Robert Pattinson was cast, people were kind of split on it. Oh my God, Robert Pattinson. It's only when people were educated that this guy's been making indie movies for the past 5 years, and he's not the guy who did Twilight. I mean, Rob's been trying as hard as anybody to get away from that. But people still love Rob from Twilight, so they're going to come in and watch this movie. I believe that next year we will see the box office rise. I don't really enjoy talking about the box office right now because it's not that accurate. There's a lot of films doing quite well from the box office. I mean, Fast 9 has cleared, what, over 700 million globally because it's a successful IP. And this is what the DC live action universe is attempting to do next year. Become become an exciting IP. You do that by making movies people want to see. I'm sorry if this upsets you, right? But you can be an auteur, you can do something new and unique, but it still has to be something the audience is going to gobble up too. Otherwise, you're simply just making it for yourself. So the Batman is going to be something incredible. And the more I think about the things I'm hearing, the more excited I am. Because when you get someone who understands Batman, who understands the comics. You see, Zack loves The Dark Knight Returns. Now for me, I've said this before, we should have had a Man of Steel, right? And then we could have had an official Dark Knight Returns movie for the first Batman movie, right? And be accurate with it. Be accurate. Adapt the whole fucking thing. If Zack adapted The Dark Knight Returns in the second movie, because they were claiming in Man of Steel that Superman was the first hero in the DC universe, right? But then they changed that by having Batman being this tired old character. So what they could have said is that he's not necessarily the first hero. They shouldn't have said that, because then they got themselves in some inconsistent trouble. But if your second film is adapting The Dark Knight Returns, and Snyder does that, and then he does his whole Steppenwolf Darkseid act, and then he moves aside, there's never a problem. By Batman v Superman just giving us a few The Dark Knight Returns Easter eggs, it doesn't cut it, and he goes down a direction he shouldn't. You know, Affleck would have gobbled up a Dark Knight Returns adaptation. He would still be the right actor to cast. And so I don't know why Snyder went half-heartedly into BVS by, you know, saying basically what the studio decided was, Man of Steel didn't make enough for us, let's put Batman into the mix and see what happens. So from that moment in time, the studio didn't believe in what was going on. And that's the problem. And you try these desperate measures to amp up the audience, and that's an issue as well. But if you actually keep faith in Snyder's vision and you allow him to do a Dark Knight Returns for the first Batman movie of the DCEU, that's incredibly special, because it's a great story. Because you've got an older Batman, right, who's been there, seen it and done it in the DCEU. Why not just adapt that? Snyder wanted to do it anyway. It's clear they wouldn't let him do it, and that's a shame. But when you've got an auteur like Matt Reeves, he's doing something utterly original. Yes, he's doing a year two, but he's doing it his way. And I forgot actually, apparently the Batman is based on a Batman title. Let me see if I can find it quickly and I'll be right back. I couldn't find it, but it's based on some kind of Batman story that's very similar to this, so that's interesting. So that ends our chat for today about the Batman. I'm sure there's going to be more information for us to delve into, and we need something to talk about till DC Fandom, but I am so excited for this movie. An auteur director doesn't have to trigger you. In fact, you can embrace that director and enjoy what they do. And you know, bringing Matt Reeves in was genius. He was the perfect guy because he's always wanted to make a Batman movie as well. So I'm so excited, and I believe that this is the launch pad for a new era of DC live action, and I can't wait to see it. Right, finally today, Scott Edwards, superfan Scott Edwards asks, at Movies TV Mad, for tomorrow's Movies TV Mad Daily, do you think a JSA movie might be announced at DC Fandom? Also, do you think down the road we might get a JSA and Justice League team-up film? That would be awesome. Tell me your thought about the future of the JSA and the DCEU. I think that the JSA will definitely get something on HBO Max or in cinemas. Now, we must remember this JSA in Black Adam, which we're getting, is like 3 or 4 people. So this is not a lot of them. This is just a few of them. This sounds like a bunch of them have gone off the books and maybe have found a way to travel in time. That's the only thing I can think of, but then again, I'm not sure when Black Adam is actually set. So that's interesting. It could be in the era of the JSA, but I doubt it. So Scott also asks, do you think down the road we might get a JSA and Justice League team-up film? I think for that to happen, we have to fix the Justice League. You know, they need to create their own Justice League again. They have to decide what versions of the characters in the Justice League they keep and which new ones we get as well. So, you know, a Justice League movie, Scott, is really down the road at the moment because they're fixing this. They're trying to make the DC live action universe a thing that everyone can be excited about, like everybody's excited about the MCU. It doesn't mean it's going to be like the MCU, but they need to make money at the end of the day. So a JSA Justice League team-up is so far down the road. But yes, Scott, I absolutely believe that that's what they will be doing in the end. It's very exciting for me because we're realigning the DC live action universe and nobody knows what to expect from these movies and this HBO Max content in 2022, and that makes things even more exciting. This has been the Movies TV Mad Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. I will see you again in the next video. Remember, subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, and please comment down below. That's important as well. But if you like this video, if you like me, like the video, please like the video. You can follow me on Twitter @MoviesTVMad, on Instagram @MoviesTVMad555, and on TikTok, of course, @MoviesTVMad_XX. Until the next video, I will see you again soon. Until then, bye!